Something wrong with a hologram? Or is your face supposed to look like that? Suicide was deciding you could ignore your superiors.
Let this be a lesson. Your only hope for survival is complete and utter loyalty.
Sorry, I'm not quite sure where I am.
Prejudice set to maximum.
Hello and welcome to Keyboard Heroes, episode 49. As always, I'm your host, Brooks, aka SWTOR, and we're here on TGN.TV, Gamer TV. Once again, as always, I'm joined by the noob so nice, they named him twice. It's Stock, aka Callan. Callan, how are you, buddy?
What's going on to our fans from way up in Canada where our booze is strong and our healthcare is pretty free? It's me, and I'm happy to be here again with you. And we got a pretty good show coming up, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, we do. As we alluded to last week, we've got an interview with David Bass this week, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. We'll get into that. It actually ran a little longer than we thought, so we're going to run through about as many things as we can on the show, and still try to fit that in and kind of keep within the time limit we're trying to self-impose onto ourselves. So, Stock, why don't we jump right into it? Rakghoul event's over. Did you get everything you wanted to get done?
No. Pretty disappointed after, you guys were like, oh, why don't you just go and, like, do the dailies, get the containment gear, and I was like, I'm not feeling it. And now once it's over, and after I watched the interview with David Bass, and you specifically touched on a point, and you'll see when it comes up, and he says, it's really, really cool that like 3 or 4 years from now, we're never, ever, ever gonna have that ever again.
Never, ever,
and
ever.
People are gonna be walking around in containment gear.
Yeah, I took the DNA samples instead.
Yeah, and then I didn't even have enough to buy
I
anything.
I didn't need them anymore. I mean, what do you mean you didn't need them anymore? You don't have them once. Whatever. I didn't see the point. It's like here. Whatever. Don't worry about it.
Lesson learned, and Tor fans, please, if that stuff is important to you, just go and do it. Because
I'm pretty sure everyone who it was important to did it and knew it was important.
It's just so lazy.
I got my title. I got 2 full sets minus belts of gear. I got 1 crystal that I'm going to give to a level 50.
I hope everyone else is listening
someday, because I don't really care about using it in my blaster. I got both pets. I had 2 Rakghouls. I think I did all right. For being like not so hardcore and like I never do dailies, I think I got this done.
This show's only supposed to be 35 minutes. Let's end this pissing
rolling with it.
Also, dude in the comments, I'm sorry. It is cold in Canada.
Took over the headphones too. Wow.
Yeah.
That's so
B-boy. Now it's like Rasta, right? Like I got dreads. It's going to be sweet.
I don't know where your small ginger dreads are, but I don't want to see them. Moving on. So they said that the plague may linger for a while. I wonder if they all the way understand, like, this plague might never go away.
It's could be stuck around, maybe tucked away on your character screen.
It's on mine. I saw somebody in general chat on the fleet the other day said, hey, I'm about to blow up near the PvP board.
Do you want it?
So I logged off my main. I went onto an alt that I barely ever play. Ran to the PvP board, blew up, got the plague logged off.
Wow. Just
saying, I am going to be the carrier of this plague for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and I think I have enough stuff that I'm going to have something special for us next week about that. So look forward to that next week in video format. It's going to be pretty good. Yeah.
That's right. The plague is spreading, and so is the influence of SWTOR. This week, we've got Star Wars: The Old Republic, and it's going all up everywhere into the new European and Middle Eastern countries. That's right, for all of our listeners and viewers in Albania, as well as Iceland, Kazakhstan, Latvia, Morocco, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia. Boom! You can now play Tor in your country.
Yeah, it's amazing. Way to go! Boom! See, he did it. He likes it.
I went boom, boom. No, boom? This is not a thing. This can be a thing. Fist bump, never a thing.
Fine.
Not a thing.
It's pretty cold up here.
So that's exciting for all of our international friends who live in countries where you.
Because we have so many.
What's that?
because we have so many international friends.
I mean, you can never have enough. I'm not saying I have all of the ones I need or want, but hey. Anyway, moving on. Asia Pacific character transfers happen. Not a huge deal for us because we're not moving characters. Thought something. This is maybe a little prelude to like how character transfers will work. So one of our buddies moved most of his characters, not his highest level characters, off of our server onto another server in Australia. It took his entire legacy, his like main level legacy, and applied that by taking like level 10 characters. So he's got all the buffs, he's got all of his unlocks, but didn't take his main. So he's got like his highest level character was like a level 10, and it took that legacy.
It's really weird.
How sweet is that? I don't know. Never going to affect me. Just thought it was cool. Something we found out of the Q&As this week came in the form of an answer from Dallas Dickinson, who we were actually wondering what the heck happened to that beautiful bearded bastard, Dallas Dickinson.
One of my faves.
Ari Mono asks, when will character transfers be available for everybody? Old DD says, we will be rolling out character transfer service in early summer. First, we'll have some targeted free transfers from and 2 specific servers. Well, that will be followed by a broader system where you can take advantage of the free transfers or paid transfers to the server of your choice. We know everyone has more questions about this, and we'll reveal more later. And that's how they're kind of trying to address low server pops. So there we have it. The answer, you will have to pay for server transfers. I think we were kind of 50-50 on that. What do you mean this? That is not great. Oh, you're shaking the
I don't
fist.
care if I have to pay or not. I'm glad they have them in there.
Yeah, that's true. But I was kind of hoping for free transfers. I'm not going to lie.
For what, like the first month or something?
No, Rift has free transfers.
Just all the time.
It's got like a 7-day cooldown or a 3-day cooldown or something. I don't know but I transferred my one character. You just hit select, just like server transfer, boom, 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 it's done.
Okay, Tor dropped the ball. Sorry.
Well, I mean, no, I will at some point like Rift kind of dropped the ball because that's like a pretty good moneymaker,
Yeah,
but like, I mean, you can charge $10 a transfer and just get away with it. Like, why not?
Do they really need more money? Are they dropping off population?
One other thing I thought was really cool at the Q&A, and then we'll jump right into our interview with David Bass, who, Senior Community Coordinator. What better way than to get in there without community's questions? So Jim G asks, is there any sort of ETA on adding completely new playable species to the game, such as Togruta, Moncals, or Nautilins? Daniel Erickson, lead game designer, said, can't comment on what species you might see, but expect to see the roster of playable species to expand this year. This year. Yeah, I'm not going to give it to you, but boom indeed.
Boom indeed.
Expansion this year.
I think that was a James Olin accidental spill fest in the Q&A, I think.
True.
Maybe. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. They vet these questions. There's no way.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess we should have mentioned earlier. I've only noticed this. I'm hopped up on Red Bull. Everything's happening a mile a minute. Dimble the Mayor with us in only in picture this week.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, hi Dimbo. It's his wife's birthday today, so in order to avoid all sorts of aggro this week, Dimbo the Mayor on a little bit of sabbatical. He'll be back next week. He'll fill us in on just how he thought about the David Bass interview. That way we can get a little more time on it because honestly this week we're a little pressed for time. So with that, I think we're going to jump right into the interview with David Bass. And
which I'm not there, unfortunately. It's very sad.
Yeah, it was actually only me.
And whatnot.
Do this a little scheduling. Yeah, polar bears were eating his internet.
Bill's dead, and I'm getting a new polar bear next week, so it's gonna be great.
Yeah. He's gonna be riding a polar bear on a saddle.
I'm gonna be riding a polar bear on the internet.
Yeah. We'll put that on YouTube.
I'll upload it.
Yeah. So we'll be right back after the interview. We'll talk a little bit about it, give you an update on the Keyboard Heroes, and then we'll be done for the week.
Hold on, let me take my pants off.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special interview. I'm Brooks, a.k.a. Saito, for TGN.TV Gamer TV, and I am joined by the one, the only Senior Community Coordinator for Bioware Austin, David Bass. David, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, especially since apparently this is a pantless party, which you optionally joined.
I initiated. Where
Joke's on you, I already had my pants off.
participating.
Well, first of all, thanks for joining us, David. By us, I mean me, because I'm the only one here.
You're the only one that matters.
You heard it here first, folks, right from the mouth of David Bass. David, I mean, you have been able to kind of take a step back from being in the spotlight so much since the launch of the game. Why don't you take a second and just tell people what it is you do for Bioware Austin?
Well, I don't know. I don't think I've really ever been in the spotlight, or I try not to be. But what I mostly do is work with external community. So things like working with all the fan sites like you guys, fan sites and podcasts, and also guilds and events. So guilds, I've been doing the organizing for any testing we do for guild-specific content. So a lot of the end game stuff. We get guilds in there to help us test it out, get their feedback, and have them talk right with the developers to give their thoughts on any encounters. And then events, I handle most of the conventions that we do around the world each year. Like we just did PAX East, and now we're planning for Comic-Con and Celebration.
Oh, right on. Comic-Con New York New York Comic-Con is actually where we had the chance to meet you, where you told us that you had never heard of us and did not know who we were. Can't say that now, can you?
I made a great bumper, didn't I?
Yeah, you're probably the best one.
Thank you.
I'm not going to rip on anyone, but way better than Stephen Reed's.
Oh, I mean, come on. You know, I
I
put
just
effort
saying.
into it. That's all I'm saying.
So you mentioned Celebration and Comic-Con as well. Is that going to round out your convention list for the year, or do you have anything else on the works?
E3, well, we're doing E3 in June, but that actually doesn't involve us at all from the community side because it's not open to the public, so the community doesn't really get involved in it at all. That's coming up. Then we have Comic-Con, Gamescom is in Germany, and Star Wars Celebration. Those are the only ones we've announced and confirmed so far. It's possible we'll do more this year, but those are the only ones that we're for sure 100% going to right now.
Yeah, so you guys bring SWTOR all over the world. Why do you hate America's hat so much?
Canada? We literally were having meetings about that today to see if there was anything to go to.
The booze is better.
Unfortunately, we were talking about Fan Expo, which is a nice big show.
Right in my backyard, by the way.
Which is literally the exact same dates as Star Wars Celebration this year.
Yeah, it's probably not going to work.
So because we were talking about it. I got nothing against Canada, but you guys are right next to us. So when we do a show in the U.S., you can make it to them just as well, which you did last year.
And drove through Buffalo to get to Comic-Con.
Exactly.
Through Buffalo, David.
And
bring me a con.
You could stop by Niagara Falls on the way.
Both sides.
Both sides, exactly.
How was the fanfare at PAX this year?
It was really nice. We were kind of nervous at first because we weren't sure how a post-launch convention would go. I mean, you guys saw how crazy it was last year in New York Comic Con. There were tons of people there. Everybody's having a good time and waiting in line to play and stuff. And we were like, well, now we're launched and there's tons of other games that haven't launched yet that'll probably be more popular. What's going to happen? But we actually had a really nice crowd. Like the booth was full the entire time. Didn't have a 6-hour line, but we weren't expecting one. And we really enjoyed just being able to sit there and talk with people. Normally, every show you see that photo you have up of me, the blurry people in the background are usually me running around, making sure everything's working and checking to see what's on fire and how we can fix stuff. And this time I actually got to like sit down and talk with people for a while, which was nice.
I'm creepy Asian dude in that picture. I'm just lurking in the background, standing still.
There, like listening in, seeing if I say anything.
So, like you said, this is your first post-launch convention. Just before 1.2 came out, I mean, so there was obviously a lot of anticipation for that. Many trolls, like I know the big question when we were at Comic-Con was, is this on console? Can I play it on a Mac? What were people whinging about at PAX East?
That's the second time in 2 days I've heard the word whinging. It's
a good word.
I'd never heard that word before.
It's a good word.
And then we had Chris Collins, our European community manager, out here, and he said that too. And I was like, I've never heard anyone use that word before. What was funny, so a lot of people came by to ask, like, why you nerfing my class in 1.2? But we actually brought Cameron Winston with us, who's one of the combat designers. And Cameron is one of the smartest people I've ever met. And he has, like, absolute faith. He knows exactly what every number is for all the combat stuff. So people would come up and be like, so why are you nerfing healing? And I'd be like, here's Cameron. Let me introduce you. You should talk with him. And Cameron would be more than happy to explain to you exactly what changed and why it helps the game in the long run and all that stuff. So we also did like big Q&As where the devs would be up on our little stage and people would be in the crowd asking questions. And we would have someone get up on the mic and be like, yo, why do Marauders suck? And Cameron would explain to them that, like, well, he didn't really he kind of disagreed with them because the numbers were a little different than they thought. And then the next person to get on the mic would immediately be like, well, I play a Marauder and I think they're actually awesome, so I don't know what you're talking about. So we ended up having players arguing with players right then and there. And we're like, oh, this is just like the forums. Okay, cool. Yeah. And so, like, once in a while, Cameron would step in and give his opinion. But overall, I mean, a lot of people were really excited about 1.2, and we were really excited about 1.2. It had a lot of really cool stuff in it, and we were really, the timing fortunately worked out nicely that PAX ended up being right before it came out, so we could show it to people, we could talk to people about it, we didn't have anything more to hide about 1.2, we could just talk about everything openly, and it was a lot of fun. We had a ton of people just come by and hang out, just talk to the devs, play the game, check out. This was the first show we had the Old Republic Razer peripherals there, so people were playing with the keyboards and the mice and headsets, and we're like, you know, can I buy these right here, right now? Can I just hand you cash? And I was like, why are you holding that much cash on you? But yeah,
it's a convention. You got to buy as much as you can.
Yeah, but that's a lot of cash to carry around. So we had a really good time, and it sounded like the players did too, which is great.
How many of those headsets fell off the truck on the way back to Bioware Austin?
We didn't lose one, actually.
You should have lost one, I think.
We're trying to see if we can get some more from Razer for the other shows, and because we also at the meet and greet we gave away a couple.
Oh, nice. The headset looks pretty sweet.
The headset is really cool, and it actually lights up blue and red depending when you make dark side light side choices in the game.
Wow,
which is one of my favorite little surprise features.
I gotta say though, the keyboard is a little overkill. I think. Like,
what do you mean?
Crowley from SWTOR Radio definitely is like, he's a fanboy, right? And he collects his stuff, but like
Crowley's a fanboy.
I know, right? He's got a lot of fanboy rage, that's for sure.
Sure. That's fair.
But I mean, like, when would you ever move your hand to the right trackpad while mousing too? I mean, like, it's got to be like one of these things almost, you know?
So I had the same question, right? I was wondering the same thing, because you're right. Like, at first glance, it seems like all the stuff's on the right side when it should be on the left or whatever. But then we were playing with it at PAX to figure out, like, and you can actually change the touchpad display to be a numpad or to be like arrow keys or whatever. So you can bind those top LCD keys to abilities and put the cool icons on them and stuff, and still use the touchpad to physically move around. It doesn't feel any different aside from not having a physical key to push. So you can just use that side of the keyboard and not have to worry about it. And then when you have the Naga. When you have the Naga 2, you can immediately bind 12 abilities there. So it was actually way easier than I thought it would be to be able to use everything on that keyboard usefully. Plus, it's got a browser in that little touchpad area.
Yeah, I think being able to watch boss kill videos in that would be kind of handy.
Yeah, it's got a YouTube app in it. So you can just pull up YouTube and search for a video. So, you know, I would totally use that to pull up an operation boss before I run it or something. Having a browser, I always need a browser open because I'm always, you know, a little ADD when it comes to anything.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe you've converted me into thinking that it's not completely. I'm not gonna say a waste of money, but like I thought it was. It's a keyboard with the touchpad on it, but now
come to a show.
I'm coming around.
Come to a show. I will give you the VIP tour of the keyboard.
Nice. I like it. Right. So speaking of zombies, we recently enjoyed the Rakghoul Outbreak video, the Rakghoul Outbreak event, I should say, which took over parts of Tatooine. I had a lot of fun with that. Can we expect these kind of events in the future?
I would say that you definitely can. The first time around, this is our obviously first time doing an event. We wanted it to be a complete surprise. We had mentioned that we had an events team that was working on stuff like this, but we wanted it to be a complete surprise to everyone. And that's exactly what happened. And I remember the day it launched, that Sunday, a ton of us knew when it was going live. And so we were basically all logged in, keeping an eye and watching what happened as everything suddenly appeared and went live. And all the websites are freaking out, being like, what is going on? Like, grabbing all the info they could find. It was a lot of fun. I think players really seemed to enjoy it, and I had so much fun that week.
That's the kind of time where I feel like Georg Zoller is sitting in like a very back corner office at Bioware Austin watching his metrics program, just saying dance puppets.
That's exactly what happened, yes.
Move to the zones I want you to be in.
I think my favorite thing was that every part of the messaging in the game, like the videos that you would see or the announcements on the fleet, everything says, whatever you do, don't go to Tatooine. So immediately everyone just leaves and goes to Tatooine.
Yeah, had a lot of fun. There was some really good footage in that. I don't know if you caught our last episode, but there was maybe a little outtakes on how the Rakghoul plague affected the everyday Empire citizen.
Yeah, I did see that.
So how often do you think we can expect some of these events?
I don't want to say.
Fair. That's fair.
I think having it as a surprise was actually it worked out really nicely, and I think we did I mean, not to pat myself on the back or anything, but I think we did a good job making sure we communicated on the forums, hey guys, like giving you a heads up when the event was ending, what you needed to do, not giving any information about the actual details of the event itself, but just making sure everyone had a fair heads up as to things that were going to happen at the end, so everyone had a chance to participate, everybody had a chance to go out and explore for themselves without us ruining it for them. So I think popping things up in the middle of the night is always a possibility.
No, that's cool. I guess I'm going to take one more crack at it. Is this something we could expect more like once a year or more like once a quarter?
Oh, I think definitely more often than once a year. We'd love to do a couple a year. I don't know. I've seen plans for a couple more. I don't know anything specifically about the dates, even though I'm being dodgy about it. I don't actually know what they're planning for the next couple. I just know that they have plans.
No, that's cool.
So
One thing I saw...
I think definitely more often than once a year.
That's cool. I think I saw something in Daniel Erickson's recent interview with PC Gamer, and he said that one thing he thought that was really important about the events is that they never repeat. So you can you won't be able to get any of the containment officer outfits anymore.
Yeah, I think this isn't obviously a decision that I make either way, but I like as a player having those I was there trophies, right? Those things that you could only get one time because you were there at that time. So that way, years from now, you'd be walking around and people are like, where'd you get that containment officer title? You're like, oh man, there was this awesome event a couple years ago. Rakghouls came out of the walls and yeah. Yeah, no,
I think that's it's definitely cool because if that came around once a year, and April was the time of the Rakghoul plague in Star Wars: The Old Republic, it would kind of lose some of its luster, right?
Yeah, I mean, what you're basically describing are in-game holidays, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of hey, once a year,
Wookiee Life Day, right?
Yeah. So I think doing something outside of that's just actual special events, is really fun for people who are there and get to collect the cool stuff and take a break from the normal everyday playtime for a week or two and just explore some new content.
Yeah, exactly. So one of my favorite parts of the event was how much PvP it brought to just Tatooine in general and open world PvP. Playing on a PvP server, one of the things I found is when you're going through your story, you don't always see a lot of the opposite faction at the same level. But here, everyone had to go to the crash site. Whoop, hello. Everyone had to go to the crash site, both factions, to start these quests. So a lot of times I could just kind of hang out and just wait for the lambs to the slaughter. I mean, what was your favorite part of the event?
I think that was part of it was that whole intentionally forcing people into conflict, especially placing a world boss inside Outlaw's Den, was intentionally there to make people fight each other. We wanted people to fight for it and have all this crazy chaos. I remember reading stories about some servers that ended up having a 3-hour back and forth between Republic and Empire trying to get control of Outlaw's Den just so they could take down the world boss. I remember when I spent the night trying to get my title, we went after the world boss by the Sarlacc pit, and we're all gathering together, and at the same time we see the other faction gathering a group, and we're like, guys, we got to do this fast. And so they're taking pot shots at us as they're waiting for us to engage, and it seems pretty clear that as soon as we jump on the world boss, the Republic's going to run over and just completely destroy us. And so we grab the world boss and we start fighting, and the Republic just jumps right in and starts taking us out one by one. And the world boss is taking us down, and it gets to the point where it's very obvious that we're just not going to make it. Like, we're not going to be able to take down the world boss before the Republic kills us. And so we're still pushing forward with it, and the Republic is just being all over us. And finally, the world boss kills, I think I was either the second to last or the last person standing, kills us, and we're like, all right, it's going to reset. And the Republic had pushed so close to us, the world boss aggroed onto all of them and started killing them one by one, not having reset. And so he kills all of the Republic. Now we're no longer counted as in combat, so all of us get an instant res from the game. So we all pop right back up, kill the rest of the Republic, and take out the world boss. And that was, oh my god. We were so excited about that.
Yeah, and take that, you dirty pubs. Like,
yeah.
no, I mean, that's the kind of thing, like, I think it's really awesome when you guys can force people to go and interact with each other. Having said that, like, do you guys bring in the PvP team, like, into, like, an events planning kind of thing like that, to say, like, we want to have PvP here, maybe we should do these things? Or is that pretty much is that all events team all the time?
I think this whole thing was really driven by the events team, and Daniel Erickson, who's now our lead game designer. He wanted to be really involved with the events planning, both as a former writer for the game, but also, you know, he really likes these sorts of events, as you've seen in his other interviews. And so they really like, you know, Tatooine, if you want PvP, obviously you're going to Outlaw's Den. You know that's a thing. But we also knew that PvP would center around the world bosses, and on a PvP server, even just doing the dailies and stuff, you knew there was going to be PvP going on. And that's, you know, you're on a PvP server. That's exactly what's supposed to happen. And so I play on both, actually. I play on PvP and a PvE server. And I think the PvE server was fun, but the PvP server was really like, it made it feel like a really like worldly event where it's like everyone's trying to contain the plague, and sometimes there's these unofficial truces going on where everybody's like, all right, we're not going to attack each other, let's just all take care of the Rakghouls. But then like there's that one dude who just didn't get the memo or decides to be like an idiot and jumps right in, and then it turns into pure chaos.
How long would it take Daniel Erickson to RP walk all the way to the Sarlacc pit?
From where?
Somewhere on Tatooine, I don't know.
Probably a couple hours.
So I mean, you say
we should do a let's play of that.
Yeah.
Daniel Erickson walks to the Sarlacc pit.
So you say you play on both kinds of servers. We see a lot of your tweets that say you play a lot of different characters, or this story is your favorite. Are you really enjoying this class? So I mean, what class and story has been your favorite so far?
So I haven't finished any class stories yet because I keep jumping characters. I started off with the Trooper because I really liked that story. Like, I got into the Trooper story right before the final beta wipe. And so as soon as we launched, I'd always planned on doing Jedi Knight and was like, no, I really got to do the Trooper because I really like this. So I played the Trooper up to like halfway through Act 2, and then everyone at work had just finished playing through the Agent, and they were all like, oh my god, the Agent's got like the most amazing story, and they would not stop talking about it. And so finally I was like, all right, let me stop and play an Agent. So I just finished Act 1 with my Agent, started Act 2, and Act 2 is just starts off just crazy. And then I'm still... Man. What?
Onomatophobia.
And then I still really want to play a Jedi Knight because I don't want to spoil the story or anything, but someone spoiled for me what happens at the end of the Jedi Knight story, like what the final fight is, and I was like, oh my god, I need to play this class. Like, this is clearly the class I need to play.
In a company that's so concerned, like that pushes story so hard, it seems like there's a lot of spoilers going on over there at Bioware Austin.
It's funny because like when I first started here, someone pointed me to the official story document, which is like thousands of pages long, but it's like basically it's the script for the game. And I took one look at it and was like, no, I'm not reading this. Like, not because I didn't want to read it, but because I was like, no, I want to play this game fresh through. I want to see the story as I would if I was just a player. And so I kind of did my best to avoid spoilers. And a lot of people here were respectful of that too. I mean, here and there were things that we have to know because then people ask questions about it or have bugs or, you know, report things. And obviously we got to know the details of that. But for the most part, if you're not a writer or not a designer, if you're one of us on the community team, like you can stay away from actual story spoilers while still helping people. And that way we can experience the game naturally.
No, that's awesome. So I mean, do you like? I guess right now, do you have a main character, or is this you're still kind of bouncing around?
Right now, my agent's probably my main, because I'm really enjoying playing through it, and I've been really enjoying. I play him as a concealment operative, and that is a lot of fun in PvP.
Once
And so,
once dual spec comes around, or if dual spec ever comes around, or I get so rich that I can afford as many respecs as I want, I'm gonna try that out.
yeah, the concealment. I haven't. I've been trying to research if it's going to be something I want to keep doing once I hit endgame. But for now, doing PvP is just like so much fun. Like I never ever played a stealth class in any other MMO, and so I finally gave it a shot. And I was like, oh man, I can just like stay here and nobody can see me, and then I just like pop up behind someone and kill them. This is great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Ganking
Yeah.
it has its ups and its downs, I guess, until they turn around and find you, and then you're kind of screwed.
Exactly.
So when you guys are rolling out new builds and new content, is it ever part of your job to just grab like Musco and Brooks and Brendan Milletta and just test out new content for like X amount of hours?
The creative services team, like the guys doing the videos and stuff, are really good at finding secrets that we aren't supposed to know about yet. Secret projects that people are working on, secret content that we haven't really talked about much. And so once in a while, we'll get an IM from them that's like, guys, you got to come over here. And so like we'll head into their office and they'll show us something. We'll be like, where did you find this? And they're like, shh, don't tell anyone. And so when we find that stuff, we'll all immediately drop what we're doing and do a little play test of whatever it is. But in general, for the testing stuff, they have organized studio tests of new content. I mean, we did organized tests for the for ranked war zones, which helped us find some of those last minute issues. We do organized tests for all the new content in general. I know we're talking about doing a group finder testing pretty soon before we get that ready to go. And so a lot of the time, it's the wider studio that plans these big tests internally because we got a lot of people here, so we can get some good data.
Yeah, right on. So we're about 4 months out of launch right now, and we've seen 2 good-sized content patches. Is that something we can kind of expect to see continue, like a major content patch every 2 to 3 months, or is that just
Absolutely. I think one of the things we said was that the length of time between 1.1 and 1.2 was a little longer than we would have liked to see. Obviously, 1.2 was one of the largest patches I've ever seen for anything, and basically we're gonna focus on shorter lead times between patches, between these major game updates at least, and so they'll be not too much smaller, but smaller enough that we can actually keep up with that speed of pushing them out pretty rapidly. And so 1.3 is going to be a lot sooner than the wait was for 1.2 for sure.
Yeah, right on. So I wrote this question before you said that Daniel Erickson was the former writer for the game, but I know Daniel Erickson's been writing his abs off, working on more more story for more content. Do you guys have an idea in terms of timeline and for expansions yet, or are you just focused on putting out game updates and going from there?
I can't really speak much to that. I know that the writers in general work way ahead of anyone else because they're the very first thing that has to happen before anything else can start. Is they got to come up with the story and got to come up with the ideas, and we got to get the voice actors going and all that stuff. So they've been working since a couple months before launch on post-launch content. So things like, I mean, there's minor story in the new operations that are pushing the larger story, but then other things that'll eventually coalesce into actual new story content, you'd say, is coming, and I don't think you'll have to wait too long for that.
Yeah, right on. So I guess we kind of touched on it a little earlier. It came out that at the Guild Summit that Daniel Erickson was the new lead game designer for the game. Have you guys announced who the new lead writer for the game is?
Yeah, Alex Freed took over as lead writer.
Which I wholeheartedly approve of, by the way.
Yeah, I think everyone did, yeah. Alex is awesome, and he wrote the agent story, and so everyone gives him mad props for that.
Yeah.
And yes, the whole team has just been, I mean, nothing really changed much. Daniel still even sits in the same seat with the writers, but it's been nice because Daniel's awesome, and he's always known everything there is to know about the game. And he's always been, he's always been more than a writer. In a game where story is so important, he's always been involved in every aspect of the game anyway, because he wants his story to shine through, and now he gets to do that every day as part of the design team.
Yeah, I mean, there is even sometimes things that he says he knows, but actually turns out that were not a thing.
Yeah, but now he's got the power to make it a thing.
There you go, right? We always go back on the show to how he just lied to our faces about getting the rat attack he pulled off the agent. I think he went back after Comic-Con and was like, well, that's not a thing anymore. We kind of joked about that. Did the legacy system have anything to do with that? Like eventually you're going to get to unlock them all. So why are we going to end up pulling all this out?
Yeah, I don't know for a fact, but I can see that being a reasonable reason for it. I mean, if we're going to give people the ability to unlock everything, then we should keep everything where it is for the most part.
That close to launch, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think it was also that close to launch. It was kind of like, we don't want to touch anything that could possibly make anything blow up. So let's not make any unnecessary changes at the moment.
Just handling the game with tongs at that point.
Yeah, it was very much like if anyone needed to change anything, like there would be this whole process to get approval to like touch any code at any point. And it was like, once they do it, like a billion people would jump on it to make sure that like someone hadn't broken something. So yeah, after launch, it opens up a little bit more.
Yeah. So as we mentioned, we're about 4 months out of launch, and we've seen a couple of fan sites, namely Ask a Jedi and Red Rancor and Cantina Cast drop off. But we've also seen some new sites pop up, such as Dolphy's Healing Corner, a bunch of UI sites. Has the post-launch fan site landscape panned out kind of the way you anticipated, or have you been surprised by anything so far?
That's kind of exactly what we expected. That was sort of the goal of when we had the November fan site summit, and when we kind of chatted with fan sites around that time. We knew that after launch, a lot of the fervor dies down. People become much more. It becomes much less about the hype and much more about the actual game, which for some sites is good. For some sites they kind of lose their drive because they're like, no, we really liked speculating on everything. We liked making up in our heads what this game was going to be about.
That's an easy way to get disappointed, though.
Yeah, right. And so what our goal at the end of last year was to make sure sites understood, like, the landscape's going to change. Like, there will no longer be a place for 100 fan sites who just report on anything that gets posted on our website. Like, the responsibility now gets pushed out to you guys to make your own content. We will focus on making the game, but you guys got to focus on being interesting and actually providing something for a community that no longer needs to go to you for every little bit of info, because we hand it to them.
Yeah. So like, what was the talk like at the second fan site summit? Were you guys in a room and you were standing in the middle, everyone's around the edge, and said, some of you guys are gonna die off?
Yeah, I mean, well, honestly, that is sort of what so we gave a presentation to the fan sites that were there that was basically like, fan sites will die after launch. This is just going to happen. I'm not saying it's you guys in this room. I'm not saying it's people outside of this room, but it's a thing that is just naturally going to happen, and that's okay. But what's not okay is it happening because you guys weren't prepared for it. Like, we want to give you guys all the information you need in order to make sure that you guys are being smart about your site. And we had those sites we met with each of those sites one-on-one to discuss what their post-launch plans were, to hear from them and give them advice and suggestions. Because, to be honest, a lot of the sites we brought there, as much as I love everyone I work with, a lot of those sites were doing the same thing. They were reporting on the news. They were reporting on anything that we say. They were all doing the same thing. And we said to them, like, you can't all do this. You got to figure out, find your niche, find what it is you're good at, find what it is the community needs, and focus on that. Don't stop trying to focus on everything, because that's exactly what's going to happen. And sites that focus on everything, there's going to be too many of them, and the community is going to choose one or two, and then you guys are just not going to have an audience anymore. And so it was kind of most of them were already aware of that, but it was very important to me that everyone understood this, that everyone knew that. And I think a lot of the sites had really awesome ideas for what they wanted to do post-launch, and I came out of the Fan Site Summit feeling much more confident and much happier with the way those sites were planning post-launch stuff. I went into it a little nervous and came out much more satisfied, I guess.
Well, I mean,
so that was nice. And a lot of the sites, one of the things that I think there was like a bit of that a bit of the issues that rose up around the last Fan Site Summit with some of the podcasts and other sites that got left out. There was sort of the miscommunication, the idea that the sites we brought in were the ones that we thought were going to succeed and therefore we wanted to support them. And it was kind of the opposite. It was like the ones outside of it were like, okay, they're doing their own thing. They're solid. Like they got a plan. Awesome. I don't need to worry about them. It's these sites that are all doing the exact same thing. Let's talk to them and get them to understand that they need to branch out. They need to figure out something new. And so that was my personal goal with it.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. So I guess that pretty much wraps up any of most of our questions. Do you have anything you want to say to the community before we head into our final segment here?
Where's you guys had Daniel Erickson on last time? Where is he this time?
Well, Daniel only comes around when there's breaking news.
Okay.
I actually had to incorporate him into my legacy as Daniel would want. So I made sure that after our meeting at New York Comic Con that I listed him as my nemesis or my rival.
Oh, very nice.
I have six kids and one rival because I'm an agent and all I do is sleep with people and then kill them afterwards.
I realized as I'm playing an agent that every person I've slept with has turned out to be the bad guy so far.
Yeah, but you got to get while the getting's good because once you realize they're the bad guy, you got to knock them off.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just making poor life decisions.
Okay, one last question though. Have you been going light or dark side with your agent?
Oh, light side.
Okay,
Always
we need to chat about that because I've been looking for someone to fill in some of these holes in the story.
I tried going dark side. There were maybe one or two dark decisions I made. There was a point where I consciously was like, you know what? I don't care anymore about maxing out my light or dark side. Let me just play I turned off the option to see light or dark choices and just was like, let me just play it the way I want to play it. And then it didn't matter. I was just hitting light every time without realizing it.
Yeah. Well, my thing was like, I work for the Empire, so I'm going to make the boss happy. And a lot of times that was dark side.
I've been playing my agent as, someone who very much believes in the Empire, works for the Empire, does not like the Sith, though. Does not believe that the Sith should be ruling. Like, I work for, basically, my agent works for Keeper. Like, I work for Imperial Intelligence, and then when some stupid Sith comes over and is like, I command you to do work, I'm like, no, I don't work for you, right? You can ask my boss whatever you want, but I work for the Empire, I work for Imperial Intelligence, they'll tell me what to do. And then they shock me with lightning, and I go do it anyway.
Yep, no,
because I don't want to get shocked.
All right, so David, I don't know if you've heard or seen it on any other podcasts, but this is something we do with every guest of the show. It's called Callan's Quickfire. He's not here, so I'm going to fill his shoes. If you've heard it on Nothing Gaming or SWTOR Radio, it's a complete ripoff. So I'm going to ask you 10 questions, and the object is to answer them in as few words as possible, as fast as you can. Are you?
Oh
ready?
man, I'm not good with few words.
Well, then it will be a challenging game for you.
Bring it on.
Now let me tell you though.
All right, David, are you ready?
I am ready.
1. Favorite class in SWTOR?
Jedi Knight.
Least favorite class in SWTOR?
Bounty Hunter.
Ooh. Favorite Star Wars episode?
Ooh. Episode 6.
Oh, nice. If Stephen Reed were a cartoon character, which would he be?
I'm going to get in trouble for answering that question.
He doesn't watch this show. Come on.
Cartoon character.
Callan's really slow fire.
I can't think of any British cartoon characters. My mind went blank. Snidely Whiplash.
Oh, nice. Okay. Favorite war zone in SWTOR?
Favorite what?
War zone.
Oh, Novair Coast.
Least favorite war zone in SWTOR?
Huh. I don't dislike any of them. But you're going to make me choose one.
Yeah. It's a challenging game.
Oh, man. I guess Alderaan.
Funny, because you like Novair Coast. They're almost the same thing.
They are almost the same thing, but Novair ends up being way closer matches
Yeah, 100%.
for me. And the comebacks are way easier.
Yeah, the scoring mechanic is really awesome in Novair Coast. Has Bioware ever considered a muzzle for James Olin?
No, but I'm sure Steven has.
Are you jealous of Daniel Erickson's abs?
No, it was just the lighting.
Photoshop's a wonderful thing, eh?
Yeah, that's all it was.
Most fun part of your workday?
Talking to you.
Aw. And the last question, which might get you in trouble as well. Who has the best Star Wars tattoo at Bioware Austin?
Greg Zestra.
Is it because he's your boss?
He got the nice split faction logo on his arm.
Yeah, I think I saw somebody else that had that tattoo in talking to William Wallace in your Legacy video. Anyway, moving on. That is Callan's Quickfire. You did well. You answered honestly. At some points you had a little gun jam, I think, but no worries there. That's going to pretty much wrap it up for us. David, thank you so much for joining us. Well, me, I guess.
Well, thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. And do you have anything else you kind of want to leave with our community, with our viewers? Just parting words.
I'm sorry that nobody else wanted to talk to me. That you were the only one brave enough.
They're still getting their feet wet. They'll be fine. Stock is fighting a polar bear for use of his internet. So there's that. But again, thanks so much for coming, and please feel free to join us again.
Absolutely, anytime.
All right, guys. This has been Brooks, aka SWTOR, for Keyboard Heroes on TGN.TV. Hey, and we're back. First of all, thank you so much to David Bass for joining us, and by us I mean me, on
him, and by extension me,
and Dimbo as well. So I mean, yeah, I had a ton of fun with David. He's a really great guy to just shoot the shit with, and we kind of found that out at New York Comic Con. Found it in 37 minutes of that interview, and for the one thing I picked up on, he takes some pretty good pot shots at Stephen Reed, and his lack of trying on the bumper that he gave us for our audio podcast
was pretty good. I just thinking about that time, I specifically remember when we were trying to get it from him, and we first explained to him what we wanted. And, we wanted you to say, we don't want you, you're not lying by saying you don't know who we are and I've never heard of you.
Yeah.
But then when he was trying to do it, he acted it so well that he was like, what's the name of your podcast again? And I was like, oh, it's Keyboard Heroes.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, you're trying to, I get it.
Yeah. I had to actually edit me talking out of my...
Yeah,
but Stephen Reed rolls in, he's like,
closely.
Hello, Keyboard Heroes, this is Stephen Reed saying I have no idea who this is. I was like, I didn't ask you not to care, Stephen. Anyway, moving on. I liked being able to call David Bass out on the Naga keyboard. However, I also liked him doing a pretty good job of convincing me that it's not a complete waste of money.
I mean, when I listened to it, I felt like you maybe were like, I want to tell you that I still don't believe you, but I'm going to give you this one.
Well, Crowley has one from Swath Radio.
Yeah,
so,
but Crowley's fanboy.
I can't completely throw him under the bus, too.
I will. Crowley, bus, hit.
Boom. Okay, so we'll take a break from that, and we'll talk a little bit about that more next week on our next episode when Dimbo's there. And we'll give a few thoughts on that. And with that stock, I think we're gonna head up to the Guild capital ship and the Guild headquarters. Talk a little bit about Keyboard Heroes, and then we'll get the heck out of here.
We're here.
Terrible sound effects.
Pop and pop.
Pop and pop. Now Dimbo's the Moss since he's not here.
Yep.
Wow, take that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
am I taking over?
If you're not going to do this, I will. Welcome to all of the members, Blockade Runners, who have come over to Keyboard Heroes. Blockade Runners is the guild formerly led by none other than Blockade Runner, who is the manager over here at TGN SWTOR. So we're happy to have all those guys and gals come on over to keyboardheroes.ca. A couple other members, Orange Lilu and Delita
or Deleta. I don't know how to. It's got an accent. It's 141 with the alt. If you're trying to send them a tell-in game, I don't know.
Oh right.
If you've applied and you haven't got a response from us, please be patient. We'll get there and send all tells to Callan in game. Yep, did it. And with that, I think we're gonna get out of here. Stock,
Wow.
why don't you tell people where they can find you on the interwebs? And
You certainly can't find me on Vulcar Highway because I'm getting a transfer now.
not until early summer when you can pay to have that shit happen.
Great. You can find me at CallanKBH on Twitter. Follow the show, Keyboard_Heroes on Twitter too. That's where we tweet out most of our episodes and whatnot. But you can still find the usual stuff at youtube.com/TGN SWTOR. And I guess, you can email me if you want, CallanKBH@gmail.com. And that's pretty much
Twitter.
it for me. Also, reminder, just if you have something you want us to show, come on, just send it. We'll play it and we'll make fun of it or say that's really good. Whatever you want.
Could go either way.
Could go either way, but whatever you want. I have fun making videos. I'm sure everyone else does too. So send them all in, and we'll play them for you.
Absolutely. So, guys, you can find us at www.keyboardheroes.ca. That is a site for our guild. If you want to find our videos, you're obviously watching this. You know you can find us over at youtube.com/TGN SWTOR. We post there every week. If you want to find just the David Bass interview, we'll put a link up to that separately, probably in the days following the launch of the show. If you want to get a hold of me, you can find me at SidearKBH. If you want to get a hold of the guild on Twitter, it's at Keyboard_Heroes. For the absent Dimbo the Mayor, for Stock aka Callan, and Brooks aka SWTOR, thank you very much for checking out episode 49.